Today on the podcast, we talk why them dogs is hell, and everyone now knows it. Next, Locked On Bulldogs.
You are Locked On Bulldogs, your daily podcast on the Georgia Bulldogs. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back, everybody. This is Locked On Bulldogs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. I am Clint. Daniel is out sick still, but we're glad you're here. For the first listeners of the day, we're glad you're here, and the everydayers that are here every single day, as well as the loyal third segment listeners. Listen all the way to the end. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel, FanDuel.com. More on them in a moment. Y'all, them dogs is hell, and everyone can see it. I'm talking three things today. One, we're talking why it is that everyone can see it. Two, we're talking Kirby Smart as the best master planner in the entire world, and why you should care less about players that don't come to Georgia. Full stop. Second segment, come on back. I'm going to tell you to stop caring about why certain players aren't at Georgia. It's a good thing. We're going to get to that in a second. And then last, I'm going to tell you why stop questioning the coaching decisions. Stop it. Okay. First, man, y'all, on the biggest stage in the Superdome in New Orleans, we saw every single reason why the Philadelphia Eagles are current Super Bowl champions. Make no mistake, Jalen Hurts gladly have you along for this ride. Without you, I don't know if the Eagles win. Maybe not. I'm glad you're here. The MVP of any league, by the way, of any game is kind of rigged, just so we're fully aware. In the NFL, if you're not a quarterback, you're not winning MVP. If you have a better game than anybody else and you're not a quarterback, you will not win that game MVP, because there were two sides of the ball that should have been given MVP, and Jalen Hurts was not it. He played a good game. Glad for him in the Super Bowl, beating Mahomes. It was the defensive line and offensive line of the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, 6 sacks in a Super Bowl is very good. Like, just very, very good. But here's what's wild about the 6 sacks. The Nolan, the Jalen, the Jordan. These three gentlemen along the defensive line. Here's what's wild about those 3 sacks. Those 3 sacks do not encapsulate the entirety of how that game actually went. 6 is a lot, but it should have been more. And it doesn't properly give you the understanding of Patrick Mahomes running for his life and having no time, no processing, nothing whatsoever. In the first half alone, they had I think they had a pressure rate of 52% on dropbacks and didn't blitz anybody. Because the Philadelphia Eagles, and I'm not exaggerating when I say this, because you heard it from Howie at the end of the game when he was on a platform. So what I'm about to say is going to sound ludicrous, but it's not, because it was identified by the GM, the head coach, the quarterback, and every single defensive player. The Philadelphia Eagles used Kirby Smart's system to beat Patrick Mahomes. Think about what Kirby has done and what got us into trouble when he couldn't do it because certain guys didn't come along in the process and certain guys were behind in development. But when he developed guys, when he had the guys, when his system is this: let's rush with our guys in front. Let's play man coverage. Let's put a couple of safeties over the top end. Let's not give up the big plays, and let's get home with 4 or 5, depending on the front, depending on who we have. Let's get home with our guys. Let's not send a backer. Let's not send a corner. Let's not send people. Now, Kirby has done that. But when things are going well for Georgia, it's the 4, getting after it, pushing in the face of the offensive line, getting to the quarterback, making him comfortable, and playing great man coverage on the back end. And you saw the Eagles do that. And the Eagles did that with 3 out of there was a 5-man rotation in that, Jordan Davis coming out on certain sets, Sweat being off the edge, which Sweat had a great game in the Super Bowl. But there were 4 guys came after the quarterback, kept the run in check the entire game, allowed the linebackers to come back to spy that interception with under 2 minutes to go near the end zone for him that got more points on the board is because that linebacker was able, he wasn't reading anybody in the secondary, by the way. It was because the guys up front were getting home. He was able to sit back to drift back into coverage, leapt for the ball, made the interception. That was brought to you by Georgia. This championship for the Eagles, you're welcome, brought to you by Georgia. Rush 4, man coverage, get home, havoc rate, absolutely. Jalen Carter pushing in the face of everybody. Nolan Smith crushing. You could see it was the perfect image. You've seen this 1,000 times from Nolan. He sits on the edge, looking at the outside hip of the quarterback, pulling guard or some sort of power, or and he just looks, turns, and obliterates the run game inside. He gets after the quarterback. He flushes him. He was uncomfortable. He was hitting him on his thighs, on his arms, getting harassed all night was Patrick Mahomes. They drafted 3 Georgia guys up front on the defensive line, and the defensive line won it for the Eagles. That whole unit should have been MVP. Sweat, Nolan, all of them should have been MVP of that game. You know it. I know it. The world knows it, but you have to give it to the quarterback because of the stats and whatever. And again, Jalen was great. But you cannot look at the game in totality because the game was over in the second quarter. All they had to do was keep consistency in the second half. That's all they had to do to win the game. Nothing more, nothing less. First and second quarters clinched the game because Mahomes was done. He was rattled. Couple interceptions on the night. A fumble lost. 6 sacks. All of it. Every single inch, every single piece of the game was because of the defensive line. Trenches, y'all. How Roseman at the end of the game says to everybody, hey, how we got here, shout out, and a whole bunch of dogs. He says, yep, we're here because of this guy, and because I went into Kirby Smart, I went down to Athens, and I said, who you got? And he said, here they are, and he says, I'll take them all. You got a group discount rate for them because all of these guys are ready, and we're going to put them in, and they're going to be the best defense, and they're going to take down the best quarterback, I've been told, I don't know, I've been told, of a generation. Best quarterback in a generation taken down by a pack of dogs who ate on the defensive line. Nakobe Dean, not in the game, injured in the previous, kept the entire year there. Keely Ringo had spots in this year where he played huge ball for the Eagles. Philadelphia is not celebrating on Friday without Kirby Smart. There's zero world. Jalen Hurts even says, culture is thanks to you by Georgia. These guys come prepared. They come ready. They come hungry and excited. The GM, the head coach, the quarterback, our eyes, Mahomes, the MVP, all of it points to the ripple effects of Kirby Smart being at the juggernaut that is Georgia in the SEC, getting drafted players into the league and upending a three-peat that would have made him a GOAT. Like, let's play 7 degrees of separation with Kevin Bacon. Let's play 2 degrees of separation. Patrick Mahomes being the GOAT of all time. Who got in his way? Sirianni, great. Good on you, man. Jalen Hurts, good on you. Just like the Cowboys went on the run because they got 8 draft picks back and Jimmy Johnson went on this historic run with them. The Philadelphia Eagles got on this run, stopped Patrick Mahomes because of the drafts of Georgia players onto the team, and there's no other way to spin it other than that. Zero other way. Y'all, them dogs is hell, and it's fantastic to see. We're going to come back after this. I'm going to let you know why Kirby is the master planner and how this has all been set up by him because he's master at it next. But first, these. And these are, in fact, FanDuel. FanDuel.com, your official place to go right now and get in on the action of every single thing that you need with NBA action, as well as NHL and MLB futures coming. You get to bet throughout the game. Even if you miss the opening tip-off of that fourth quarter comeback, you won't have to be out of the action. Looking for a bigger payout, you can even combine your live bets into the same game parlay. We love using it. Daniel and I are always over there on FanDuel, the official sportsbook of Locked On Bulldogs, Locked On Podcast everywhere. Plus, the app is easy to use. And when you win, you get paid instantly. Right now, FanDuel customers get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com to join the day. That's FanDuel.com for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Kirby Smart is masterful in his planning. I'm going to talk to you about why this is so important and why this Super Bowl win, taking down Mahomes and getting notoriety on the biggest stage, on the biggest level of the best sport in the world, is monumental for the Bulldogs for this year, for next year, and years to come. It's what Georgia fans need to be focusing on more than anything else, because there's a couple of NIL distinctives that are coming up that are really, really unique that I think that you might be underplaying their hand. Let me explain it to you. Everybody wants to talk about, well, Kirby needs to pay for more players. We need to get the collectives up. We need to get, hold on. Point one, we don't know what kind of restrictions are coming for NIL. And if you think it's going to be Wild West for the rest of the NIL and college football, you're insane. I'm not saying it's going to go back to something else, but what I am saying is there are many laws, there are many legislations, there's many aspects in play that you and I typically forget. First, it's collegiate athletics, which has a governing body, which means that unless it goes away from campuses, every single thing must abide by NCAA clearinghouse rules and laws. Now, you could say to yourself, well, the mega conference is coming. We're going to leave the NCAA as a housing. That might be. I don't think it is, actually. I think we might realign and we might get conferences, because here's the deal. There is too much at stake for these campuses to lose out, and for NCAA to become the snooty professors that they think they are, and getting really, really, really nitpicky on certain things. Don't do that, NCAA, because you're going to lose a bunch of people, and you can't afford to lose it. I don't think they're going to do that, because they're going to realize, hey, college campuses, college student life, alum are the lifeblood of college sports. You can fight me if you. I think college football is a better product. The reason why it's a better product than the NFL is because of the absolute pageantry, the historicity over hundreds of years in some of these instances of rivalries, of games, of tradition. That is a huge component of the game. You can't just hit reset on that and take a product and make it the same thing. It becomes the USFL, or it becomes something else like the Triple X Football League all of a sudden. You can't do that. It's not going to be a feeder program, minor league baseball for NFL. That's not going to happen. If it was viable, it would have already happened. The NFL is trying to do this internationally, where they're making a feeder program into their system. They're doing it internationally because there are no university-style games of football anywhere else besides America. It's a collegiate sport, and it will remain a collegiate sport, and the NCAA is going to wise up eventually. So if you don't think that reform is coming, come on. Secondly, because of what's at stake for all of these campuses, the NIL is going to have some sort of reform. It's going to make some cap. It's going to make some where players can actually get it. It's going to be some equaling of the playing field with getting over to other sports, women's sports, guys golf, gals golf. It's going to level out. When that happens, it can't be the highest bidder gets the players. Won't last. It can't last, because it's unsustainable, as Ohio State has shown $40 million in debt of the football program, as well as other universities that you can do it for a while. A&M, Clemson, you can play that game, which is why Dabo's been so resistant going into the portal. If you blow some huge budgetary item for a couple of years and you go $40 million in debt as Ohio State, but you don't have national championships to show for it, how long do you think those alum, how long do you think those universities, how long do you think those chancellors are going to keep footing the bill for you? See, You can't just buy your way into a championship and guarantee it. I joke about Ohio State. Yeah, they did buy it. It's okay, Ohio State. Just own it. You kept your players, and you say everybody does that. Not everybody. Not everybody. Arizona State, that nearly beat Texas, didn't have the same budget as you did. I'm not saying they would have beat you, but I'm also saying don't tell me that everybody's doing it. They're not doing it at the same level as you are. And you can't sustain that. It's not sustainable. Here's Kirby Smart's plan. Kirby Smart says, I'm not going to overpay for NIL because I know regulations are coming. I know reforms coming. I'm going to go other ways, i.e., the legislation to go ahead and get NIL not taxed. And you could talk to me about George. He's finding roads elsewhere, and it means something for people as they hear it. So you can poo-poo it all you want. It's meaningful for people. It made the news. It's newsworthy. Kirby Smart is not going to overpay for players. He's going to develop them. If you don't come to Georgia, he's not crying a bit of there's no spilled milk with Kirby Smart. He's not crying over it. You want to go elsewhere, get it back, go do you. I know for the longevity of this program, the healthiest, best way to do it is to get guys in here who want to be here, who want to get developed, who want to go to the NFL, who want to win Super Bowl rings. And you could tell me, well, Carson Beck's going to get $8 million, $9 million this year at Miami, and that's more than he would have gotten for the entirety of his contract had he not gone in the top 15. Okay, well, maybe. Do you think Carson Beck's going to be that guy that if he doesn't get drafted high as what he wants, if he doesn't get a starting job, he's going to go to the practice squad, he's going to grind it out? No, he's not going to. Now, he's going to take his money and go elsewhere, but we're talking longevity of a career. We're not talking a one-hit wonder. Kirby Smart says, I want longevity. I'm not going to overpay. I'm going to develop my players. I'm going to get them in the league. I'm going to have GMs come to me and say, open up the treasure chest. I want a piece of the pie. He's going to give them out. They're going to go ball. They're going to get huge paydays. They're going to rep the Power G. They're going to get the name out there. And the entire time, Kirby Smart is reaping the benefits. He gets a discount. We called it the Saban discount before. It's the Kirby discount now. And even in NIL, that's fine. We can say, hey, Carson wanted 8. Kirby says, well, I'll give you $4 million of Kirby discount. I think so. Jake Fromm was not a great quarterback. He got him drafted. I'm not speaking ill of Jake Fromm. I love Jake Fromm. He's on any other team. He's not getting drafted that high. Period. People respect Kirby. They believe in him. They follow his advice. They follow his blueprint. An NFL defensive coordinator copied Kirby Smart's blueprint with his players. They said, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Oh, these guys, 2021, just absolutely mowed down every single competition. What if we just get all of them and have them do the same thing they did in college against the same players they were playing against a couple of years ago? Oh, and a generational quarterback that no longer seems so generational because of them. This is his plan. It always has been the plan, always will be the plan. Let's ride it out. I love it. It sounds fantastic. And not only does it sound fantastic, it looks fantastic, and we're reaping the benefits. This isn't a hypothetical. We're seeing it come to fruition right here, right now. These draft classes, the draft classes that go into the league are making recruiting cycles look better. And this recruiting cycle that we have for Georgia coming up might be the same generation. I said it as 2020, 2021. 2019, 2020, all of those guys might be the same generational talent that we got at Georgia that rode us to 2 national championship teams, might be this cycle on defense, especially. He has a master plan. It's so good. And I'm so glad we have Kirby in this NIL era. We're going to come back after this. I'm going to talk to you about stop saying you want different coaches. I'm going to back up my facts. I'm going to tell you something more next. Locked On Bulldogs. Loyal third segment listeners, you're here with us. You're here every single day. We appreciate you guys. Gurf, Justin B. Tweeting, Sarah, all y'all, glad you're here. And if you're over on Twitter, go on, get over there on X Machine at Dogs Podcast. Get after us. We love talking with you. We love interacting with you. It's so much fun over there. Telluride. Look, Colorado's fine with us. Telluride, that's good. I can't afford Telluride, but I'll come visit. This is just us. If Daniel was here, he would say, we love the banter. And many of you over on YouTube have told us you love the banter. Here's the deal. Mike White is it. Stop with the nonsense. Truly stop with the nonsense that you know better and you know best than a coach in for Georgia in the SEC right now with everything that's going on. Just stop it. I don't know how else to tell you that it is horrible what some of us are doing with our understanding of how much we think Mike White is awful. His loss to at home, we needed this win. We might be on the bubble now. We might be out of the bubble. That's we got to win a couple more really tough games in the SEC coming up. But for all of you that are telling me, hey Clint, Mike White's not it. I've been spending 18 years in the program and I'm done with him now. Stop being dramatic. You're not done with him. If you were done with him, it would have been done 10 years ago, not 18 years from when you first started. Stop telling me that you're done whatsoever, because it's just absolutely, it's so bad. Okay, just straight up, it's so bad. And I'm going to try to prove it to you right now. When you're saying, when you get rid of Mike White is bringing in more talent than we have ever seen at Georgia, period. First thing Mike White does to keep a long tenure at Georgia, he's brought in more talent than you have ever witnessed on a basketball team in Georgia history. 1. 2, he's had more wins and he's at the precipice of entering the NCAA tournament, which no Georgia team has done in a hot minute, for the first time since you started watching them. Like, it's better. My first point is, it's a better product than what you're accustomed to. And you could say, well, we need to be Auburn. Auburn is a generational team. Right now, they are a generational team. That coach is quickly becoming the best coaching in college basketball. That school is quickly becoming the next version of UNC in Kentucky that we were accustomed to. Auburn is up to some nasty business at basketball. My gosh, I have not seen a team like that my maybe entire life. Eyes on. It's incredible. And for us to sit here and say Mike White's not it, he's gotten more talent. You can't, that's a generational team at Auburn, even at Tennessee. It takes a couple players that just come along and absolutely whoop butt all up and down. And I'm going to try to explain it to you when compare ourselves to Texas. A couple of years ago, here's a little story, and then we'll get a couple of years ago, Texas went out and got, in 2015, went out and got VCU head coach Shaka Smart. Shaka came in, he took VCU to a bunch of games that they should not have won whatsoever. Final Four appearance, absolutely incredible. Losing to Butler semifinals. Got paid after that, following that. Then he goes on to Texas. He goes from VCU, goes over to Texas. And what's wild about Texas is that he had a great record. He makes the tournament. He 21-16 in 2018, 2019. The first, NIT in a hot minute. Before that, they lost in the first round to Nevada year prior. He put Texas back to where they should have been. 2021 takes them to 19-8, Big 12 championship, and the 3 seed in the tournament, which is absolutely great seeding, great game, or a great season for them. Goes over to Marquette, and now he's at Marquette. He replaces, he didn't have a good tenure at Texas because Texas all of a sudden said, we want something better than Shaka Smart. We need to be winning these tournaments. We need to be the guys that are 1 seed, not 3 seed. We can't go ahead and upend it. He's not it. Get rid of him. Well, here's what's wild to me. They get rid of him. He goes to Marquette. Marquette has one of the best seasons they've ever had. They get into the NCAA tournament, but they lose in the first round. Second season, Big East crown and in the tournament. He goes on and gets 2022, 2023 Coach of the Year award. Marquette's in a good position. They're going to continue to be in a good position. Texas lost out because Texas, on the other hand, does this. Texas in 2022, 2023 gets a new coach. Ronnie Terry comes on over. They get to the Elite Eight. 2024, they get to the round of 32. This year, 15-9, 4-7 in conference play. Let me say that again. 22-23, Texas is 22-8. 2023, 2024, 21-13. They make the Elite Eight, the round of 32. This year, they are 15-9, 4-7 in conference play. They've gone downhill every single year for the last 3. And right now, it doesn't look like Texas is in the position where they're any better without Shaka Smart than when they had him. You all want to tell me, let's go get Bruce Pearl. Mike White's not in. We need somebody else. I almost guarantee you, Texas fan is sitting here saying, we haven't won an NCAA tournament, and their Elite Eight and 32, round of 32 appearances mean nothing to them. Shaka Smart on the meanwhile, Marquette is a notable team who's ascending, coaching them up well. Texas bought him out, I think $7 million, something like that. And I almost guarantee you, a lot of them would not have made that deal because it takes a hot minute to make a program and turn it around. Most coaches that have longevity and success. Now, this is why Iowa football. Iowa football is really, really bizarre. Same coach for what seems like 30 years. Kurt over there is hiring sons and daughters, and they're getting fired. They are ascending far above what anybody else anticipates with less talent and lower recruiting cycles in a place that is abysmal to live in. Iowa is just the worst. And they're winning and they're competitive every single year. And they might say, we need to win the big one. Oh, Iowa's good and has been good and will be good and has made a couple of big splashes, a couple of bowl games. Mike White is fine. He's not just fine. He's ascending. He's getting more talent. We're better this year than we have every year before. And if you get rid of him, what else are you going to go get? Just straight up, who else are you going to go get? And you could tell me, well, this guy's in. The grass is always greener on the other side, isn't it? Grass is always greener. And then you get to the greener grass and you're like, oh, never mind. This sucks. Could you all please stop it with the basketball? I'm giving up on them. This is so horrible. We're more talented. We're we're more successful, and we have a better coach than a lot of other programs in the most competitive SEC ever, the most competitive conference ever have seen in basketball. Shaka Smart is a good coach. He should still be at Texas building his program. And if they did, they wouldn't be going downhill. They are descending. The Texas program is on the decline, not the ascent. Georgia's on the ascent. Which one would you rather have? Because I'm telling you, I would rather have the ascent where we are at than anything else. This is Locked On Bulldogs, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. We'll see you guys tomorrow. We're talking more about them dogs. See you guys then.